The loopholes of death. Imagine walking into a room where 5 doors are labeled homicide, suicide, natural, accident, undetermined. You're told every death must go through one of these doors. No exceptions, no sixth option, no hallway, no outside. Just 5 doors and a decision must be made. Now here's the part no one questions. Who built the room? Who decided there were only 5 doors? And who stands there pointing, telling you which one to walk through? The room feels official, so no one questions it. White coats, clipboards, language that sounds precise. Homicide, accident, natural causes. It feels like truth is being spoken. But what's actually happening is classification, not discovery, not certainty. Classification. The first crack, the door that says, "We don't know." One of the doors is labeled undetermined. Think about that. The cause is unknown, but the conclusion is accepted. We don't know what happened, but we're certain that something called death occurred. That's not a solution. That's a placeholder, a way to close the file without closing the question. The second crack, natural. What does natural mean? A leaf falling is natural. A storm is natural. A body aging is natural. But when the word gets used here, it doesn't explain anything. It ends the conversation. Natural doesn't tell you what happened. It tells you, stop asking. The third crack, accident. An accident assumes no intention, no design, no meaning. But you can't observe no intention. You can't measure randomness. You can only reconstruct events and then assign a label that feels right. So accident becomes a story that calms the mind. The fourth crack, the strongest words. Homicide, suicide. These sound solid, final, certain. But they depend on something invisible, intent. And intent cannot be measured. It can only be inferred, reconstructed, assumed. So even the strongest categories rest on interpretation. The man in the room. At the center of this system stands the one who decides, the coroner. He uses science, experience, common sense. Science gives him data, experience gives him patterns. But common sense, that's where it gets interesting, because no one defines it. Common sense is just what feels obvious, based on what has been seen before. And what has been seen before is shaped by everything that came before it. So the decision is not just observation, it's inheritance. The label becomes the reality. Once the door is chosen, everything rearranges around it. Reports are written, cases are built, stories are told, and the label becomes final. But the label was never the thing. It was a pointer, a way of organizing what could not be fully known. The mirror no one wants to look into. If the categories are constructed, and the decisions involve interpretation, and the certainty rests on language, then what exactly is being declared when we say, "This is what happened"? The ruthless cut. If you had to choose one of the 5 doors, you would choose one. You would feel certain. You would explain it. And you would believe it. Not because it was absolutely true, but because the system gave you no other option. That's the loophole. Not in the science, not in the process, in the assumption that the 5 doors were ever enough. What the system cannot hold. There is always something left outside the room. Ambiguity, context, complexity, the parts that don't fit neatly into a category. But the system cannot function if it admits that. So it does what all closed systems do. It chooses, labels, declares, and moves on. And that leaves only this. If what we call death is filtered through categories that simplify what cannot be simplified, then the question is no longer, what happened? The question becomes, what are we calling true because we need something to call it?